Welcome to Gooseberry Science and Education Videos. I'm your host, Alex. Today, we're jumping right into a really cool explainer all about solar photovoltaics. We're going to explore exactly how we capture the power of the sun. And to help me break it all down, I've got our trusty technical guide with me today, our very own orange gooseberry mascot. Together, we're going to trace the incredible path of solar energy, literally starting from the microscopic movement of atoms all the way up to massive global infrastructure.
Here's our roadmap for today. We'll start with how solar energy works, then look at some exciting solar technology innovations. After that, we'll walk through installing your home system, explore storing solar energy efficiently, and finally, we'll wrap up by discussing the global solar transformation.
Okay, let's dive into this. Section 1, how solar energy works, the atomic magic of photovoltaics.
So, there are 4 fundamental steps to the photovoltaic or PV conversion process. First up, we have photon absorption. This is where solar photons from the sun strike semiconductor cells, which are typically made out of silicon. Next comes electron excitation. Our orange gooseberry mascot is actually playfully demonstrating this right now by literally knocking an electron loose from a silicon atom. That's exactly what sunlight does, creating what's called an electron-hole pair. Step 3 is current generation. Basically, an internal electric field directs those loose electrons to flow, and bam, that creates direct current or DC electricity. Finally, since our homes run on alternating current, we have AC conversion. This is where inverters essentially act like magic, transforming that DC power into grid-friendly AC power we can actually use.
Now that we've got the basics down, let's look at what's really pushing this industry forward. Section 2, exciting solar technology innovations beyond the traditional solar panel. Right now, monocrystalline silicon cells give us the absolute highest efficiency, hovering around 20 to 22%. But get this, emerging materials like perovskite cells hold the potential to leap over a whopping 50% efficiency in the future. Pretty wild, right? But beyond just those microscopic materials, the actual physical design of the panels is evolving too. Traditionally, we've used what are called monofacial solar panels. These have an opaque backsheet, meaning they only absorb light from the top down. So any light that passes through or hits the ground, totally wasted. But enter the bifacial panel. Notice how the bifacial panel features a second semiconducting layer on the back plus a double glass design. This is a massive game changer because it allows them to capture light reflecting off the surface below them, passing it right back through the panel for even more energy generation. This captures what's known as the albedo effect, basically bouncing light off highly reflective surfaces, things like snow, sand, or white paint.
And that brings us to a really massive number, 30%. If you place these bifacial units in a highly reflective, high albedo environment, they can actually bump their absolute efficiency up to 30%. I mean, that is a huge gain in yield from the exact same surface area. Plus, because they utilize that tough double glass design we talked about, they're incredibly durable against the elements, meaning they literally last longer. So, we know how a single panel generates electricity, and we've seen how the absolute latest tech is maximizing that efficiency. But that brings us to a very practical question. How does all this highly sophisticated tech actually get up onto your roof safely?
Let's find out in Section 3, installing your home system, the 5 steps to residential solar. According to the experts over at Energy Sage, a proper installation follows these 5 distinct steps, and it usually takes about 2 to 3 months from start to finish. Step 1 is the engineering site visit. This is where a professional evaluates your roof and your electrical panel, just to make absolutely sure your home is compatible. Step 2 is handling all the permits and documentation required by your local area, the paperwork side of things. Step 3 is ordering the specific equipment tailored for your design. Step 4, that's the exciting part, the actual installation day. And finally, Step 5 is local approval and grid interconnection. Now, I really want to emphasize this point right now. Unless you have professional experience, you should absolutely never attempt to install solar panels yourself. We're talking about high-voltage electricity and serious structural considerations here.
To give you a better idea of the physical work involved, picture our little gooseberry mascot wearing a tiny hard hat carefully inspecting the roof. During the installation, professionals prep the roof and install the electrical wiring. Then they install the racking. Now, the racking is the only equipment attached directly to your roof. It's designed to safely support those heavy panels, keep them perfectly level, and absolutely crucially, it's sealed tight to prevent any roof leaks. Once that racking is totally secure, the panels are attached, and the whole shebang is wired down to your home's inverter to convert that DC to AC power.
Okay, so your panels are installed, the sun is shining, and you're generating clean power. That is fantastic for daytime generation. But what happens to the grid when the sun goes down? Or say when a heavy storm rolls in?
Solar is incredibly powerful, no doubt about it, but it is intermittent.
And that brings us to Section 4, storing solar energy efficiently, balancing the grid with BESS.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is a recent techno-economic analysis out of South Africa. It highlights the hard data on 3 large-scale battery technologies used for enhancing grid reliability: lithium iron phosphate, or LFP, lead-acid, and vanadium redox flow batteries. And looking at the numbers, LFP batteries clearly emerge as the optimal choice. They achieve the absolute lowest levelized cost of electricity at just 4.05 Rand per kilowatt hour. On top of that, they boast an incredible round-trip efficiency of up to 95% and a really solid cycle life of 10 to 20 years.
But it's not just about the finances. LFP batteries offer massive spatial and environmental advantages too. Because they're just so efficient, LFP batteries actually require 30% less installed capacity than traditional lead-acid batteries. Basically, that means they take up way less physical space. Furthermore, in hybrid systems, they achieve the lowest CO2 emissions in the study, driving a 23.4% emissions reduction compared to the vanadium flow alternatives. So yeah, they are truly pivotal for stabilizing our energy supply during this transition. Let's move to Section 5 and see how this builds into the macro level. I mean, we've gone from the tiny atom, to the panel, to your roof, to the battery. Now let's look at Section 5, the global solar transformation, scaling up to 2050 climate targets.
This graphic comes to us from a really comprehensive roadmap by the International Renewable Energy Agency, or IRENA. It brilliantly illustrates the pressing needs driving this entire global shift. You know, it's not just about the environment. Though reducing carbon emissions by 70% is obviously a massive, crucial goal. It's also being driven by falling energy costs, which is making renewables fully competitive. It's about drastically improving our energy security by reducing reliance on imported fossil fuels, and ultimately providing universal energy access globally.
To actually meet those goals by 2050, the scale of infrastructure required is just staggering. On the left side here, we see the projected installed capacity expansion. To decarbonize the electricity sector, IRENA estimates we need solar PV to rise to a mind-blowing 8,519 gigawatts of installed capacity by 2050. That's huge. But, as we see on the right, you can't just plug 8,000 gigawatts of highly variable solar power into our old grid. It just doesn't work. We need massive power system flexibility, and that means integrating vast battery storage networks, sector coupling with hydrogen, and utilizing electric vehicle fleets as mobile, flexible grid storage. It's almost like a giant, interconnected puzzle.
And I want to humanize all this massive infrastructure data for a second. 18.7 million. That is the number of people the solar PV industry alone is projected to employ worldwide by the year 2050. Let that sink in. That is an incredible socio-economic benefit. It means creating local value chains, training a highly skilled workforce, and providing a seriously powerful economic engine for communities all around the globe.
I want to wrap up our analysis with this powerful summarizing thought right from the IRENA report. Look, the science works, the technology is advancing rapidly, and the economics completely make sense. But technology alone just isn't enough to cross the finish line. We need coordinated global deployment policies. We absolutely need properly trained installers, and we have to mitigate the economic and regulatory barriers that are currently standing in the way of this low-carbon transition. Basically, it requires a holistic, totally unified global effort.
From the excitation of a single, tiny electron, all the way to the mobilization of an 18 million-person global workforce, this solar journey is literally transforming our world. The technology is ready, but the real question is, are our global policies and grid infrastructures actually ready to embrace it? Thanks for watching. Remember to like and subscribe if you liked the content.